Hello everyone, my name is Miss Ashley from Fevo Kids Art Academy and welcome to another amazing art class. For our class today, we will be learning about Amelia Earhart, the famous female pilot. But before we start our project, I'm going to read a book about Amelia and her life. Amelia Earhart by Mary Nhin. Hi, I'm Amelia Earhart. I didn't have a very traditional childhood. In my day, little girls were supposed to wear dresses and behave nicely, but my mother believed strongly in gender equality. This dress might be a better option. I like these overalls. Yes, I like those on you too, Amelia. She dressed us in pants instead of skirts. She let us climb trees and catch frogs as we pleased. I even built a little ramp on the shed roof and slid down it in a box. I got a lot of bruises, but to me it was exciting. It was my first taste of flying. What is she doing? Oh, you know, she's just doing what little girls do. When I was old enough, I saved up for flying lessons by working, but it wasn't easy. Hi, are you hiring? Yes, we are, but we're looking for boys. Hi, are you hiring? Sorry, we're not hiring girls. I arrived at the airfield for training, and I saw how few women there were there. I was taught that you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. I knew I was being judged for my feminine appearance, so I distressed my flying jacket to make me look more experienced. I cut my hair short too. Oh, wow, look, a girl. When I finally finished my training, I was only the 16th woman in the US to ever have obtained a pilot's license. Can you believe it? She's a girl and she can fly, and so young. My pioneering story almost ended there when I suffered from ill health. When I ran out of money, I had to sell my plane. I even had to cancel my plans of going to university because I simply couldn't afford it. People thought I had failed. That's too bad. She was a good pilot. I knew in my heart that if I wanted something, I had to work hard to get it. I began writing for papers and magazines to encourage more women to fly. This is how I earned a living as a writer and could afford to keep flying. I worked hard to get here. I couldn't just give up. Even when no one else believed, I had to believe in myself. Women must try to do things as men have tried. When they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others. I set my sights on the unknown, wanting to be one of the best pilots in history. I attempted dangerous feats never done before. Never do things others can do and will do if there are things others cannot do or will not do. I was the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean, and I set lots of world records throughout my career. I inspired many women in the US to achieve their dreams of flying just like I did. People had told me that I would fail, but I wasn't afraid to try. The most effective way to do it is to do it. And here's a little bit of a timeline of Amelia Earhart. So in 1923, Amelia gets her pilot's license. In 1928, Amelia becomes the first woman to fly the Atlantic Ocean. In 1932, Amelia becomes the first woman to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross. And in 1933, Amelia becomes the first woman to fly nonstop, coast to coast, across the US. All right, so now that we know a bit more about Amelia Earhart, let's go ahead and get started with our project. Here we have Amelia with her airplane. I'm just going to go ahead and put this to the side so we can start our practice draw. Make sure that you are using that pencil, but I'm going to be using a Sharpie so you can see my lines. The first thing that we're going to do is make sure that our paper is side to side, which is horizontal. And we're going to draw a big oval. This is going to be for Amelia's head. Remember, make sure you're drawing that oval, not a circle. Then what we're going to do is we're going to draw kind of what looks like a silhouette of a bird. I recommend watching me first before drawing this because these are going to be the goggles that pilots wear when they're flying. So we're going to start on the left, curve, and curve. Then curve down and up, down and up. So if you need to pause the video and rewatch that step, go ahead and do so. But inside you're going to draw 2 more ovals. 1 and 2. All right, so now that we have those goggles right there, we're going to go to the bottom left goggle and draw a curved line going down. And same on the right side. All right, before we add those face details, let's go ahead and draw her hair. Even though her hair is tucked up into that cap, I want to show that her hair is short and kind of falling out of the cap. So we're going to start here and draw a curve on the left and 2 curves on the right. All right, we're going to go ahead and draw those eyes by drawing 2 rainbows with a circle underneath. And then we'll add those eyebrows. Our eyebrows act like umbrellas for our eyes. We need to make sure that they're a little bit longer than our eyes. I'm going to draw a small rainbow for the nose and a curved line for the mouth. And then 2 curves, like the top of a heart for her upper lip, and a curved line for her bottom lip. All right, we need to draw that scarf next. We're going to go to the sides of her head near the bottom and draw 2 curved lines. And we'll draw that curve to connect. All right, we're now going to draw her shoulders. So starting on the bottom left of that scarf, draw that curve and another curve. Now we do need to draw the collar of her jacket. So we're going to be drawing 4 slanted lines. Let's start here by drawing 1 slightly slanted line and another slanted line, and another slanted line. Now her scarf, make sure it's pretty thick. We don't want it too teeny tiny thin. We're just going to draw a wavy line, another wavy line, and connect with a slightly curved line. And that is how you draw Amelia Earhart. If you need to go back and rewatch those steps, you can go ahead and do so. But I'm going to be moving on to our final draw next because we need to draw a little bit more to our picture with Amelia Earhart. So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. And we're going to start with our final draw. Make sure that you are still using that pencil. I'm going to be using a Sharpie still so you can see my lines. Make sure your paper is side to side, which is horizontal. And we're going to draw that big oval. Remember, an oval is like a tall circle, but make sure you're not drawing a circle. For those goggles, I'm going to draw a curved line and another curved line. Curve down and down. And then you'll draw your 2 ovals. Alrighty. We need to go to the bottom left side of the goggle. We're going to draw a curved line that goes down. And same on the right side. All right, we're going to add a curve there for part of her hair. And 2 curves right there. For her eyes, 2 rainbows with some circles underneath. And if you want to add some eyelashes, you are more than welcome to. And then 2 more rainbows for those eyebrows. A small rainbow for the nose. And a U-shaped curve for the mouth. Now I'm going to add some lips by drawing what kind of looks like the top of a heart. And then a U-shaped curve underneath. So there we have her head. But we do need to start drawing that scarf. So I'm going to draw 2 curved lines and curve. Then for her shoulders, curve down, curve down. And then we're going to draw 4 of those slanted lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll draw her scarf by drawing a wavy line and another wavy line and a curved line to connect. Great job. So now we're at where we left off with our practice draw. So let's go ahead and draw that background by first drawing the horizon line by drawing a straight line going off the page on the left. Make sure that line is even to the right side. I'm going to add a dirt path. This is where the plane would land or take off. We're going to draw a slanted line. We're going to start actually here and draw that slanted line that goes to the corner of your paper. And on this side, we're going to draw a slanted line, hop over our scarf, and continue that line to Amelia Earhart's shoulder. Awesome. If you do need to pause the video and rewatch those steps, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to add some hills though. Make sure these hills aren't too tall though, because we do need to draw that airplane right there. So I'm just drawing some rainbows for those hills. Again, remember, make sure to not draw that those hills too big. But we are going to add a sun right here by drawing a circle. Or it could be a moon if you wanted to change that up a bit. But now we're going to draw the airplane. I recommend watching this step and then trying it for yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing a really long, skinny oval close to the top of my paper. Then I'm going to draw a rainbow curve. Then what we're going to do, you're going to travel down just a little bit and draw a circle. Then we're going to draw, I think it's called a propeller. We're going to draw kind of what looks like a flower petal. Make sure it's long and skinny. And you're going to draw 2 of those. Then we need to draw a circle, but we need to make sure that we hop over those flower petal shapes. So I'm going to draw this circle, hop over, draw that circle, and stop. Then I'm going to draw a long letter C on the left and a long letter C on the right. I'm going to add a letter V and another letter V. 2 slanted lines and circles. Remember, you're doing this in pencil. If you do need to go back and rewatch that airplane step, now is your time to do so. But when you are done with your picture, it should look something like this. So here is mine in pencil. I need to outline everything in my picture. However, there are some areas that I do need to fill in black. So before I outline my picture, I am going to make sure to fill in these areas. So I recommend putting your pencil aside and take out that Sharpie because we are moving on to coloring. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to outline this circle here and fill it in. Outline this circle, fill it in, outline, and then fill it in. Then, same with Amelia Earhart's eyes. We're going to outline and fill them in. So there's her eyes. We're going to fill that in. Outline, fill it in. When you're done with that, now you can go back and outline all of those pencil lines on your paper. So let's just take that moment, making sure that our cap is on the back. We're holding low and we're going slow as we outline our picture. Take your time with this step. There is no rush to outline. Make sure you're following those pencil lines as close as you can. Maybe pretend that your marker is a little bug following those lines. Bugs don't go too fast. Sometimes they do, but our bug's pretty slow today. All right. I outline my sun. And then I'm going to outline Amelia Earhart's head. Again, take your time with this step. There is no rush whatsoever. All right, curving that down and down. Don't forget those eyebrows as well. Remember, those eyebrows need to be longer than the eyes, nose, and the mouth. I'll go ahead and work on that scarf. All right, don't forget that wavy line. Now I'll work on the background. So up and down, up and down, up and up. All right, so when you're done outlining your picture, you can go ahead and put your Sharpie away, and we'll just take that moment to erase any of those pencil lines that you see on your paper. All right, so I'm just taking that moment, erasing pencil lines. So when you're done, your picture should look like this. All right, let's color Amelia Earhart first with our markers. So go ahead and take out those markers. We're going to start with the glasses. Now you can use any color you want. Today I'm going to be using black. Now I don't want you to fill the inside of the glasses. Those are the lenses to help her see through. But take any color that you would like for the glasses. I'm using my black today, but again, you can use any color you would like. And I'm just getting as close as I possibly can to those lines by outlining and filling it in. And make sure your cap is on the back. You outline fill it in. All right. Once you have finished filling in those glasses, you're going to take your light blue. Now I know I said to use any color for the glasses, however, we're going to be using light blue so it looks like glass. Yeah. Outline the inside and fill it in. Outline and fill it in. All right, the next color that we're going to be using is brown. So let's go ahead and use our brown. We're going to outline her cap and fill it in. Outline and fill it in. And outline and fill it in. All right, if you're still working on the area, you can always press pause on the video. We're not going to color her hair. You can choose to use either yellow or orange. She has a strawberry blonde hair, but I'm going to be using orange today, but you can use yellow if you'd like. So make sure you just outline and fill in that hair. Make sure you're not filling in her face because we'll be doing that with chalk pastel. Then we're going to color her lips. You can choose either pink or red. Remember, we're going for realistic colors today. So I'm going to be using red, but you can use pink if you want to. So now you should be about right here. If you're still coloring in those areas, no worries, just keep going. We're going to color her scarf next. This is part of her scarf and that's part of her scarf. You can use any color you would like. I'm going to stick with red, but you can choose any color that you would like. I'm just going to outline. Outline. And outline here too, just so I know that this is where I'm filling in. Make sure you're only using one color though, so make sure you're not designing any rainbow scarves or tie-dye. We just want one colored scarf because we're going to be adding some patterns to that with oil pastels. All right. I'm going to take my brown, but you can use dark blue if you would like to. I'm going to take my brown and I am going to outline her jacket. Now, if you look real closely, this part is the collar. So we want to make sure that that is the same color as well, whether you're using brown or blue. And same on this side. All right. Last but not least, we do need to color in that shirt, and you can use any color that you would like. I'm going to be using yellow, but again, you can choose any color you would like. So I'm going to outline her shirt. Again, you can choose any color. Then you're going to color the sun. You can choose either yellow or orange. I'm going to use yellow since I already used orange for her hair. But again, you can choose either yellow or orange. And then for the plane, we do need to choose light blue first. And this is why. This is the seating area, which has a glass cover. So just like with those glasses, we want to make sure, goggles, excuse me, we want to make sure that that's light blue. Now, the next important step, you can choose any color you want. However, do not fill in the propellers right there. We're going to be doing that in oil pastel. I'm going to choose blue today, but you can choose any color that you want for your airplane. And I'm going to first outline the top of the plane. And then fill that in. Then I'm going to outline those wings. And fill them in. Good job on filling those in, outlining, making sure that cap is on the back. You're doing a great job. Fill in the front of the plane. Remember, don't fill in those propellers. We have 2 marker steps to do. The first one we're going to do is we're going to be using our green. We need to draw some grass here. Now, as things go farther in the distance, they start to get shorter or smaller. So with our grass, as we draw up and down lines, we need to make sure that as it progresses to the mountains, that those lines get smaller and smaller. Even if they need to be little tiny dots in your picture, just make sure that they're getting smaller and smaller. Same on this side too, and in this area as well. They start to get smaller and smaller. So let's take that moment to add those lines, making sure that they get smaller and smaller. And smaller. I'm very focused on making sure that those dots or lines get smaller. Same in this area here, they do get smaller. There's almost little dots. Good job on adding that grass. If you're still adding the grass, no worries, just keep going. I'm going to grab my brown next. We're going to be doing the same thing, only this time our lines are going to be going from left to right. So watch me first before you draw those lines. I'm just going to take my marker and add those lines that start to get smaller and smaller and smaller. All right, that was our last marker step. If you're still working on any parts of that picture, whether it's the airplane or Amelia, go ahead and press pause on the video. We are going to be moving on to oil pastels next. So here are my oil pastels. The first thing I want to do is I want to take my gray and I'm going to fill in the propellers. All right, once that's done, we're going to take our white and we're going to add a reflective light on our glass by adding 2 slanted lines on only the light blue. That helps us know that it's glass and that it's reflecting the light above. Now, we need to add a pattern to our scarf. You can add any kind of pattern you want. You can do zigzags, you can do polka dots. I'm just going to do some lines for stripes. I'm going to use white. Make sure that if you have a dark colored scarf, maybe like red or blue or dark green, you're using a light color. I always recommend using white. But if you have a light color like yellow or pink, I would use a dark color like red. So go ahead and add that pattern to your scarf. Awesome, good job. And that was it for our oil pastel step. So let's go ahead and put away our oil pastels. and take out our chalk pastels. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to be taking our tan. We are going to only outline the inside of her face. So I'm going to take my chalk pastel, I'm going to hold it like a crayon. I'm going to outline her face. Very gently pinch and pull, so gently you can barely even see any dust. Take your finger and travel around her face a couple times and then blend that extra dust inside of her face. You can tap off any of that extra dust that's on your paper. Also, if you do get any of that tan on her glasses, you can always take your eraser and erase any of that dust off of your paper. Just be careful not to press too hard when you do that. All right. Now, one extra little thing that I like to do, this is completely optional, you don't need to do that. I like to take my red and very, very gently, I just like to go just very gently back and forth. We're adding a little bit of blush to those cheeks. That lets us know she's been outside. Maybe she got a little bit of a sunburn on her cheeks. So I add just a tiny bit of that, and I take one finger and I blend in a circular motion. All right. The next thing we need to do is we're going to take our brown. We're going to outline those mountains. Outline. Outline. And I'm going to pinch and pull actually, so I can also get the inside. I like to take one finger, outline, and blend. Outline and blend. Want to make sure that we get as close as we can to those mountains. Make sure you're not blending any of that brown into the sky. But try your best to stay inside of those mountains. All right, if you have extra dust, just tap it onto your table. Because next we're going to be taking our tan. And we're going to pinch and pull on that dirt path. And blend. Then you're going to take your green or light green. I'm going to use the darker green. And I'm going to pinch and pull on my grass. Don't forget that small area here as well. If you get a little bit on Amelia's face, no worries. You can easily take that eraser, erase it right off, and just blend a little bit more. I'm going to take my green and blend on my grass. All right, and there is that. One last thing, before I do move on to that sky, I am going to clean my finger though, just because it is green. I don't want my sky to look green, so I'm just going to quickly clean my finger before I move on to my final step. All right, you can use either light blue or dark blue for this step. I'm going to use light blue, and I'm going to pinch and pull on my sky. All right, and after I've pinched and pulled, I'm going to put that color back away, and I'm going to blend my sky, making sure I'm spreading that blue wherever I can. All right, getting as close as I can. blending some more. Be careful not to go over your sun, but if you do, that's okay. You can always take your eraser and erase any of that chalk pastel that may have gotten on those areas you didn't need chalk dust. And that was our final step for our picture of Amelia Earhart. When you are done, make sure to clean those hands by using a wet wipe or go and wash your hands. Excuse me, got a little tongue-tied there. I'm just gonna go ahead and put my art supplies away and clean my table. So I'm just trying my best to clean my table, making sure my hands are clean as well. If you do need to, you can always tap that chalk dust off of your paper. But here is our picture of Amelia Earhart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had so much fun. Please post your pictures online. We would love to see them on our Febo Village page on Facebook. And we will see you next time. Bye.